Hey, how are you? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Drew, aka Booty Sweat, and today I wanted to make a little bit of a tier list, but I made that video about how tier lists are kind of pointless for most of your average players, which kind of puts me in a position where I'm not really able to talk about tier lists without feeling like I'm being a hypocrite. So I decided instead of just making a general tier list, because who needs a general tier list of MK11 at this point anyway? It's not getting any more DLC and it's pretty old at this point. So instead, I wanted to make a tier list more geared toward newer players. And so how am I going to do that? You might say newer players. Yeah, I still get comments all the time that people are just now getting into this game. So if you're one of those folks, if you're brand new, or if you just think maybe you're not that high level, you're not that good, whatever, I instead wanted to make a tier list detailing more like who are the easiest characters versus the hardest characters. Because I think that makes more of a difference at a low level than who's the most optimal character in the game, because nobody who's just starting the game is going to be playing at that level where that matters. So instead, I wanted to talk about what characters are just easy to play as a beginner and which ones you're probably going to have to work harder for and learn a lot more of the game and that kind of thing in order to see some success with. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, so for the first one, we're just gonna go in order. They're all in alphabetical order, it looks like. So for the first one is my boy Baraka. Doesn't really pain me to say this because I'm not that prideful of a person, but Baraka goes in a monkey could do it tier. He is so easy to play. It's unreal how easy he is. So, I mean, if you want an easy starting character, I mean, you could probably make the argument that the fact that he needs like punishes and things like that to really shine, maybe he's not the easiest character in the game. I don't think he's the easiest. He goes in this tier, but there's going to be some ones that go over him. But in terms of like general execution and things like that, there's not much to him that's going to give you much trouble. So definitely a good choice for a starting character. Same goes for Cassie Cage. I actually think she's a little easier than Baraka, only because again, there's not a whole lot in terms of execution that you need to know right off the bat, and she's also overall just a better character. So I think you're going to be able to pick her up pretty quickly and do things with her, actually get wins and stuff. And you can do that with Baraka, but I think you can do it a little easier with Cassie. Of course, this is all 100% my opinions. You feel free to disagree in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. Cetrion. Cetrion is a hard one. She's one of the only ones in the game that I really kind of not sure about. I'm gonna put her on the low end of a monkey could do it, just because I think the combination of her being a zoner with also having a lot of other tools as well, and overall just being one of the best characters in the game, I think even a new player can pick up Cetrion and do pretty well. She's going to be toward the lower end of the monkey could do it tier, but I still think she's definitely in there. D'Vorah goes and takes some effort. She's not particularly she's not the most difficult character in the game, but she is kind of like a trap and set play character that can get a little bit complicated, but not a bad choice. I'm probably also going to put Aaron Black in take some effort, but he's going to be real low on take some effort because he doesn't take that much effort. I don't think he goes in a monkey could do it. I think he's a little more complicated than that. Same thing is going to be with Frost. I think Frost is a little easier. It's probably easier to pick up than D'Vorah. Frost has some good zoning. She has some good damage. She has good range on her normals. She has some decently... It's going to take a little bit of effort for you to get down some of the execution of her combos and that sort of thing, but overall she's not too bad at all. Geras definitely goes in the monkey could do it. I think probably it's a toss-up really whether he's easier or not than Baraka. He certainly is very easy to play and he's a great beginner character, but you know, these might not be in the most perfect order ever. The main thing is I want to make sure they get in the right tier. How they compare with the other members in their tier probably doesn't matter as much. Jackie goes and hit the lab Jack, ironically. Jackie is hard to play. People talk all the time about how Jackie is like so broken and she's so cheap and all that kind of stuff. That's true, but in high level play. You have to know how to play the character to take advantage of that and to really make her shine like that. When I was learning the game, and even now, when I get up into, you know, if I get up into champion and then master and then grandmaster, before you hit demigod, people playing Jackie are not really doing it as well as they could be, and she can kind of struggle if she's not getting, you know, that optimal play, to be honest. So She's not a pick up and play kind of character in my opinion. Jade is definitely easier than Baraka. She has a couple of execution things with her fast dial combos, but she has the best down 2 in the game, and she has incredible range, and you will literally get wins in low ranks just by abusing her zoning and her down 2. So you'll do well with Jade starting out. I would encourage you not to play that way, because in the long run it will help you if you actually learn the game versus just learn how to mash down 2 with Jade. But it's an interesting place for you to start. I'm going to put Jax in this tier as well. I don't think he's particularly hard to play. I don't think he's as easy as Baraka or Jade or Cassie, but I definitely think he's pretty easy. Johnny, I think I'm going to put in the low end of takes some effort, because he does have a couple of things that can be really cool to do with him, but they can be kind of hard to pull off. And overall, I don't think he's as good as Cassie, so I don't think he's a monkey could do it easy, but I think he's close. He's definitely not easy, but he's definitely not hard either. He's like sort of easy. Cabal, same thing. Now Cabal is one of the best characters in the game, but he does have some execution on his combos. You have to understand concepts like whiff punishing, different things like that. His air slight gas has a little bit of an execution requirement to it, so he's not overall that difficult of a character to play, but I think he's harder than Frost though. He might even be harder than D'Vorah. I'll leave him there just for now. Kano I'm also putting up here just because he doesn't necessarily have anything that's overall that difficult. He does have some execution heavy combos, especially if they end with manhandled, but overall he just doesn't have, like, his wins aren't going to be as easy as they would be for a lot of other characters. So he's not that hard to play, but it can be hard to win when you're just starting out if you're playing as Kano. So I'm just going to put him in that tier. Kitana goes in this tier as well. I think she's probably... Kitana's easier than Cabal for sure, but I don't think she's as easy as Frost. Yeah, I mean, she's not bad. She has some interesting stuff, some good mix-ups and things like that. You know, Collector's going in the same boat. I'll put him probably actually as a little bit harder than Cabal, I think. I think he's harder than D'Vorah as well. He's not a difficult character to play, but he does have some things that kind of are tricky about him that you'll have to kind of figure out. Now, the good news is, you know, I might even put him higher just because no one is going to know the matchup in the early ranks against Collector. So you're going to have a bit of an advantage just in that alone. So I'll leave him there. Kotal, he's probably easier than Garrus. He's somewhere up there. It's not perfect, but he's definitely easy. He has huge range. He does 1,000,000 damage. He's overall an extremely easy character and a very rewarding character to play. You'll get huge damage and you'll go crazy with Kotal. So definitely very easy. Same with Cabal. Cabal. What the heck is this guy's name? Kung Lao. So Kung Lao, I think, is probably easier than Jax, probably harder than Garrus. Liu Kang. Okay. Liu Kang is going all the way at the top. He is definitely easier than Cassie. He's the easiest that we've come across so far for sure. I think Liu Kang is one of probably the 3 easiest characters in the game to learn if you're just now starting out. He's definitely going to stay up here. I won't spoil it, but there's only going to be one character I think that goes above him. If you're familiar with the game, you're probably already know who it's going to be. Nightwolf, he's easy. I like him. We'll just put him here. Why not? He's got good mix-ups. He does good damage. His combos aren't too hard to pull off. Pretty good for a beginning player to try out. Noob Saibot I think is a good choice too. I'm going to put him a little higher, like easier than Kano. Actually, I'm going to put him easier than Aaron Black too. Noob Saibot has some difficult execution on his more complicated combos, but his damage is insane. And the issue is he's a little stubby. So new players, what you're going to really struggle with to start is figuring out spacing and how all those kinds of things work, right? Noob Saibot, you have to understand that to a degree. So that's why I'm not putting him in a monkey could do it, because if you go into a match, I fought many noob Saibots that were noobs. But anyway, I fought many and they couldn't make anything happen because you still have to understand spacing, you still have to understand counter zoning with his teleport, all of that kind of stuff. So if you're not familiar with the game, you might end up getting yourself killed playing as him. But on the flip side, he is really fun and he is really good. So I think he's still pretty easy, but definitely not as easy as a monkey could do it. Raiden goes in the middle tier as well. I'm actually going to put him maybe around here. I think he's harder than Frost. I don't know that he's harder than Katana. Again, not necessarily difficult. Really, the only characters that are going to be explicitly difficult are going to be the ones that are in the third tier. The top ones are just going to be like cakewalk to learn. The middle ones are going to be, you know, they'll take a little bit of effort. You know, they'll take some effort. But then the bottom tier is like characters that if you don't know how to play the game, you're going to lose a lot trying to play them. So I'll put Raiden in here. He's got some good stuff, but overall he's not the strongest character in the game. So, you know, you'll struggle against like Liu Kang and some of the better characters in the game with Raiden. But Scorpion I'm going to put in a monkey could do it, but I'm putting him in low a monkey could do it, past Cetrion even. Because new players love to throw out YOLO teleports and it will get you killed. So you have to get accustomed to when you are going to use your teleports. You need to use them wisely. So it will take a little bit of time getting used to that. Otherwise, he's super easy. Shang Tsung, pretty tough. I don't want to put him in Hit the Lab, but I will put him at the bottom of Take Some Effort. Just because I do think it takes a little bit of effort. I mean, he's a great zoner. You know, he's got some stuff that you can do that can really do a lot of damage and things like that. But, you know, just, I'm just going to put him there. Whatever. Shao Kahn. Now, Shao Kahn's a weird one. Honestly, I want to put Shao Kahn in Hit the Lab Jack. And the reason I want to do that is because he's really bad. And even though he does have some pretty, he has a little bit of execution requirement on some of his combos. If you start his B&B out with his forward 2 string, the execution on that is actually really tight. So he has some execution that you need. If you want some of his biggest crushing blows, you have to have Dark Priest equipped, which is, you know, it's really hard to get that out. Takes a lot of, here's the thing, playing as Shao Kahn takes a lot of outplaying your opponents. Because he's just doesn't have what a lot of other characters have. His strings aren't that great in neutral. His stagger game's not that great. He does a lot of damage and that's about all he does. So if your opponent is outplaying you, then you're screwed, basically. So you've got to really get some game knowledge and really understand what's going on, I think, to use Shao Kahn effectively in the game. People who win with Shao Kahn are really good, in my opinion. So I'm going to put him in Hit the Lab. I'm going to put him at the top of Hit the Lab, just because I think he's definitely probably easier than the other characters that are in there. But Scarlet, I'm going to take some effort. I think she's probably around Frost level. I'm not, you know, again, this is not super strict. I'm not saying this is the definitive order for these characters, but I would say she's about there. She's not super easy, but she's not super hard. There's not a huge execution requirement for a lot of things she does. She is a heavy zoning and spacing character, so you will have to understand those concepts in order to use her correctly. So I don't think she's a monkey could do it, where you can like literally just press buttons and win. But, you know, she's not particularly hard either. Sonya, I'm also putting in a monkey could do it. I think that Sonya probably fits on the lower end of a monkey could do it. I think she's probably maybe right here next to Jax, I guess. She doesn't have anything that's too tough to do, and she's a pretty decent character. So, and she has good zoning. She has mix-ups. She's unsafe on a lot of stuff, so you have to figure that out, but I mean, so is Liu Kang. Liu Kang's unsafe on some stuff as well. So you just have to kind of keep that in mind. And overall, she's a very easy character to play. Now we're on to, here's the spoiler I was warning about earlier, right? Everybody knows this. It is my opinion. I would say everybody knows this because this might be debatable for a lot of people, but it is my opinion that Sub-Zero, or as a lot of people call him Scrub-Zero, is the easiest character in the game to play. If you watch my tutorial video on Sub-Zero, shameless plug, you will see that basically your entire game plan comes down to forward 2, and that's about it. Forward 2 and back 1, and that's pretty much it. Forward 2 into the slide mix up until you have the slide crushing blow. And then you can use like air polar axe, you can use his rising ice to get huge damage combos. I mean, he's a really extremely easy character to play, and he is very, very easy to win with at a low level. So overall, and he's really one of the best characters in the game, a lot of people think. So overall, very, very easy, very boring in my opinion, but you know, maybe that's what you want starting off. Terminator, I'm putting in a monkey could do it as well. Probably here somewhere. He's got good mix-ups. He doesn't do anything that's particularly hard to do. So, you know, and not that many people play him again, so you're going to probably have the advantage of your opponent not having any matchup knowledge. I think he goes about there. He's not the easiest, but he's definitely not hard. Sindel I'm putting toward the top of takes some effort. I think she's probably a little bit more difficult than Aaron Black, but she's good. Like, she can really use that forward two to get that overhead, and she can get some big damage. The problem is that in order to get her big damage, there is an execution requirement. If you're doing her unbreakable damage, where you're using her Banshee cancel, her air Banshee cancel, that's a lot of execution. You've really got to hit the lab to figure that out. But even then, you're still going to have to hit the lab a little bit to get her optimal stuff that includes like her back two and her combos and all that kind of stuff. So she is overall, in my opinion, pretty easy, but I don't put her in a monkey could do it, because in order to really make her shine, you're going to have to put some effort in. Really, a monkey could do it is kind of the tier for like, you're going to win games like very quickly, because there's not a whole lot of like practice that you have to put in. You can kind of like just learn a couple of combos and then go in and start playing and generally do pretty well. Joker comes up here as well. I think he's probably around the same level as Sindel, Kano, Johnny. He's not hard, but he does have some like set play and things like that that you can do that can make him a little more complicated than other characters. So again, very good character. He has very good range, which again requires you to understand, you know, spacing. He also has his throw crushing blow that he gets off of a canceled fatal blow. That's a bit of an advanced concept to wrap your mind around when you're just starting out. So he doesn't need that to be good, but it's definitely something that adds to his arsenal, but does require a little bit of game knowledge and understanding to figure out how to do. So I'm gonna put him there. Spawn I'm gonna put up here. I think Spawn is probably a little bit easier than Jax, maybe. Hello. He might be a little bit easier than Sonya too. I'm not really sure, but he's up here in this tier for sure. He does a mazillion damage. He has a special ability that lets him get crushing blows off of nothing. He's pretty fun. I didn't used to be very keen on Spawn. I didn't used to really like him very much, but in recent times I've actually been enjoying him quite a bit. So definitely if you're interested in him and you're a newer player, you know, you'll do fine with him. Fujin, he goes down here and hit the lab jack. I think he's even more complicated than Jackie. He's a very, very good character, very, very strong, but he has a lot of intricacies to him that you've got to understand in order to bring out his full potential. You're talking about his movement. You're talking about the execution on his combos to get any kind of decent damage. I have fought many, many Fujins, and it is not until you get into higher ranks in Combat League that they start even doing a modicum of anything. Fujins typically, they might get like a 17% combo or something like that in lower ranks, and that's about it. And then they'll try to shoot arrows at you the whole time. He has a lot of complicated things about him that's definitely going to make him more difficult to play. Shiva I'm going to put up here. I'm putting her here above Jackie, up toward like the easier side of Jackie, just because she doesn't have anything that's nearly as execution heavy, but she's just so bad. She's just so bad. You have to really, really outplay your opponents to win with this character. She's very, very bad. So there's not really a whole lot else to say about her. Ever since they nerfed the stomp isn't even a good way to cheese out low-level players anymore. It's so bad that if they know even just to walk forward after you do it, you're getting hit for, you know, a 35% combo or whatever. So definitely she is in this tier just because of how bad she is and how hard it's going to be for you to win with her, in my opinion. I'm gonna put RoboCop maybe up here. He's not hard, but he's not that easy. I don't think he's easier than any of the characters in this tier right here, but I don't think he's particularly hard either, so I'll just put him there. I definitely think Rain might be the next hardest character in the game after Fujin. I think his execution is really tight. He does very little damage, and you have to really utilize his movement. His movement is where his strength is, and if you're not good at that, you're not going to do well with him. You have to learn to play the game a very specific way to make Rain work. It's just how it is. He doesn't do very much damage with his combos, and on top of that, they're difficult to do. The execution requirement on them is high, and you don't get that much damage. So what do? You nickel and dime your opponent's health using his amazing movement. And that's pretty hard to do. So I definitely put him in Hit the Lab Jack. I'm also putting Melina in Hit the Lab Jack. I'll probably put her above Jackie. I don't think her execution overall is as bad as Jackie. Problem is, again, she's very stubby and she has very specific things that you have to do to get wins with her. It's going to be hard to win with her at a low level when everyone else is playing Liu Kang and Sub-Zero and Jade and Geras and Baraka and you know, whoever else they're playing, Scorpion, all of these characters up here. You're gonna have a hell of a time trying to get wins at that level with Melina when all these other characters exist. It's just how it is. You're gonna have to be actually good at the game in order to do well with this character, so I'm putting her there. Same goes for Rambo. I might actually put Rambo even as harder than Shiva, just because we've seen Rambo win a tournament recently, but the problem was, if you watch those matches, Rambo is like having to get like a million opportunities in order to get that win. His damage just isn't there. It just takes so much brain power to make this character work. It takes so much brain power to make this character work. I'm not saying you're dumb if you can't make him work. What I'm saying is you probably don't have the game knowledge to make him work, or the like instinct or the IQ or whatever, like the game IQ. You're really gonna probably struggle in the early ranks if you're playing as Rambo. Again, all of this is relative, by the way, right? I'm not necessarily saying that these characters are impossible to pick up when you're a new player. What I am saying is that if you're both brand new and one of you picks Rain and one of you picks Sub-Zero, and you both went into practice mode for maybe 30 minutes, or you've both been playing for like a week or something, enough where you've had some opportunity to get used to your character a little bit, the Sub-Zero player is going to have a much easier time winning that matchup than the Rain player, because Rain is just by nature a much more complicated and more difficult character to play. So again, it's not to say you can't pick these characters, it's just how much effort do you want to put in. I would of course suggest everyone try characters like these. I dabble a little bit with Rain and Shao Kahn more so. You know, it's not to say, I'm not trying to discourage you from playing these characters. I'm just saying, if you're really wanting to go in with the mindset of what are some characters that I can learn the game with and still manage to do well with and grow really quickly with, I think that's what this tier list will show you. So maybe they're not in the perfect order all the time overall, but I think this is generally pretty good. Really, the middle tier here, I don't think they're necessarily hard. I think they're just harder than these ones. And really only a few of these ones I think are even hard. Like, it's not that hard to play Shao Kahn and Shiva, or even Rambo for that matter, but it's kind of hard to win with them, if that makes sense. So anyway, let me know what you think below. That's the end. I know this went on kind of long, but there's a lot of characters, so yeah, appreciate anybody who made it to the end. You are a hero in my eyes. And yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment if you disagree, agree, whatever. And I will see you in the next one. Have a good one. Be blessed.